Did you know that pouring concrete for your tiny home foundation is not only slower, more expensive, and messier than it needs to be, it is also completely unnecessary in 2026? Most people building modular tiny homes still go concrete because that is what Granddad did. But a quiet revolution has been happening in foundation technology, and the builders who know about it are saving thousands of dollars, cutting their install time down to a single afternoon, and doing zero permanent damage to their land. I'm talking about ground screws, also called helical anchors or helical screw piles. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how they work, what they cost, when to use them, and the one situation where you actually do not want to use them. Stick with me through this whole video, because the comparison breakdown in the middle is where most builders make their biggest mistake, and I'm going to show you how to avoid it. Before we dive in, if you are new here, this channel is all about smart, honest, affordable housing. No fluff, no hype, just real information to help you build smarter. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Alright, let's get into it. Let me start simple. A ground screw, or helical anchor, is a steel shaft with one or more spiral plates welded around it. Think of it as a giant screw that you drive directly into the soil. No digging, no concrete mixing, no waiting. The helical plates are the key. They displace the soil as the screw goes, and rather than removing it. That is what gives them their holding power. You are not creating a hole and filling it. You are threading into the earth the same way I would screw threads into timber. The ground grips the screw from all sides. You install them with an electric or hydraulic power tool, usually a skid steer attachment or a heavy-duty impact wrench for smaller screws. Each screw typically takes under an hour to install, and the moment it is in, you can build on it. No curing time whatsoever. For a typical modular tiny home, you are looking at somewhere between 6 and 12 ground screws placed at key load points, depending on the size and weight of your structure. Each screw comes with an adjustable bracket on top, so you can level everything to laser precision before you even set your frame down. These are not experimental technologies. Ground screws have been used in commercial construction for decades. Telecommunications towers, solar farms, highway signage. But in the last few years, they have crossed over into residential and modular building in a serious way, and the tiny home community is starting to take real notice. In 2026, the industry is also calling them helical anchors, and both terms are worth knowing. Let us talk about money, because this is where it gets interesting. In 2026, a concrete slab foundation for a modular tiny home can look affordable on the surface. For a basic 400 square foot slab, materials alone might start at around $2,400 to $4,800. But the moment you add site prep, high-strength mix, and labor, that number climbs to $6,000 to $14,000. And in difficult terrain, it goes higher. Here is what is driving that number up right now. Labor. In 2026, skilled trade labor has climbed to represent 50 to 60% of your total foundation cost. That is not a typo. Over half your foundation budget is going to wages, not materials, because qualified concrete crews are in short supply. That labor squeeze shows no sign of reversing anytime soon. In the UK, the picture is similar. A 2026 estimate for a 6 by 3 meter concrete base, which is roughly 20 by 10 feet, runs from £2,500 for a basic pour-up to £11,000 on difficult terrain. Now compare that to ground screws. For that same 6 by 3 meter area in the UK, a professionally installed ground screw foundation runs between £1,800 and £2,300. That is a fraction of the concrete cost, and the US market reflects similar proportional savings. And here is another number worth sitting with. Ground screws can be installed up to 70% faster than a concrete foundation. Not a little faster, 70%. A ground screw array for a tiny home takes 3 to 5 hours. A concrete pour with site prep, the pour itself, an initial set takes 2 to 3 days minimum. For a modular home, that is the difference between a single afternoon and a multi-day job. You can also build on ground screws immediately. No cure time, no weather delays. You cannot pour concrete in rain or near freezing temperatures. With ground screws, you screw them in, level the brackets, and set your home. Same day. There is one more cost angle worth mentioning. A standard tiny home concrete slab weighs around 40,000 pounds, roughly 18,000 kilograms, of mass permanently bonded to your land. Ground screws, by contrast, weigh a few hundred pounds of precision steel. Less mass, less complexity, less cost. I know not everybody leads with environmental reasons when choosing a foundation, but the numbers here translate directly into practical advantages, so they are worth understanding. Cement manufacturing accounts for roughly 8% of global CO2 emissions. That is one of the largest single industrial contributors on the planet. Ground screws remove concrete from your build entirely. According to life cycle analysis research from 2025 and 2026, switching from concrete to ground screws can cut the global warming potential of your foundation by 50 to 70%. Those numbers come from independent LCA studies comparing materials, transport, and installation processes end to end. Beyond carbon, there is a practical environmental advantage that matters to a lot of tiny home builders. Ground screws cause minimal soil disturbance. You're not excavating, grading, or compacting a large area. The land around your screws stays largely intact. And here is something you cannot say about concrete. Ground screws are fully removable. If you ever want to relocate your modular home, you unscrew the foundation, pull the screws, and your land is left in almost exactly the same condition as before. Zero permanent damage. That aligns directly with the philosophy of living light on the land. One thing that surprises people is how well ground screws perform in conditions where concrete actually struggles. Start with sloped or uneven terrain. If your land is not perfectly flat, concrete becomes expensive fast. You need grading, retaining structures, and sometimes significant extra excavation. Ground screws handle slope naturally. You adjust the depth and bracket height of each screw to compensate, and everything levels out cleanly. No extra site work required. What about frost heave? This is a real issue in northern climates. When the ground freezes and thaws, it can shift a concrete slab or crack it over time. Ground screws are installed below the frost line, anchoring into stable soil that freeze-thaw cycles cannot reach. Your home stays level through tough winters. And a quick note for 2026 code compliance. Most local building codes now require ground screws to be installed at least 12 inches below the local frost line to be certified. Always confirm that with your local authority before you install. Windy sites and flood zones are another area where screw piles stand out. Because helical anchors grip the soil from multiple angles, they provide strong resistance to both uplift and lateral forces. A wind event that might shift an under-anchored structure has a much harder time with a properly specified screw pile foundation. On load capacity, standard 76mm diameter residential ground screws are rated at 1,880 to 2,000 kilograms per screw, which is right around 4,400 pounds. A typical modular tiny home is very comfortably within those limits when the screws are properly spaced and specified by an engineer. And once installed, the adjustable brackets on top let you fine-tune your level long after installation. If the ground shifts slightly over time, you make corrections without any demolition. Try doing that with a concrete slab. I promised you the honest picture, so let me tell you when ground screws are not the right call, because there are situations where concrete is still the better choice. First, if your site sits on solid rock, ground screws cannot penetrate it. In mountainous or heavily rocky terrain, you may need concrete piers or a specialist drilling solution. Always get a soil assessment before you commit to any foundation type. Second, extremely soft or waterlogged soil can be a challenge. Very loose, saturated ground may not provide enough grip for the helix plates. In those cases, you need a geotechnical engineer to assess the site and potentially specify longer or heavier duty screws to reach stable load-bearing strata. Third, the financing question. Traditional big bank mortgages have been slow to accept screw pile foundations as standard, and that is still true in some cases in 2026. However, modular-specific lenders are increasingly fast-tracking helical anchor approvals because they understand how the technology works. If you are financing through a specialist modular lender, you are in much better shape than you would have been even 2 years ago. If you're going through a conventional bank, check with them first before you commit. And fourth, if you specifically need a basement or a fully enclosed crawl space, a concrete foundation is the right tool. Ground screws elevate your home above grade, which is excellent for airflow and moisture management, but they are not designed to create enclosed below-grade spaces. Outside of those 4 situations, ground screws are almost always the smarter, faster, and more cost-effective choice for a modular tiny home in 2026. Before we get to the installation walkthrough, I want to address one question I hear all the time. How long do these actually last? The answer depends on the quality of the steel and the coating. In 2026, the gold standard for residential ground screws is ISO 1461 hot dip galvanization. That is a specific industrial process where the steel is dipped in molten zinc, creating a bonded coating that protects against corrosion from the inside out. Screws built to this standard are engineered to last 50 years or more, even in damp soil conditions. When you're sourcing ground screws, always ask whether they meet ISO 1461. That one question separates the professional grade product from lower quality alternatives. It is the difference between a foundation that outlasts your home and one that gives you problems in 10 years. Over the lifetime of the foundation, ground screws also require less maintenance than concrete. No cracking, no moisture intrusion from a compromised slab edge, and no need for periodic inspections of below-grade concrete work. Let me walk you through what a ground screw installation actually looks like from start to finish. Step 1 is a site layout. An engineer or experienced installer marks the screw positions based on your home's floor plan and load points. This is done with a laser level and measuring tapes, because the positions have to align precisely with your modular home's beam or frame locations. Step 2 is the installation itself. Depending on the size of your screws, you are using either a hydraulic attachment on a skid steer or, for smaller residential screws, a powerful electric impact wrench. Each screw goes in with steady rotational pressure. The installer monitors torque throughout, because reaching the specified torque value at depth is how you confirm the screw has hit load-bearing soil. That torque reading is your quality control built directly into the process. Step 3 is leveling. Once all screws are in, the adjustable steel brackets on top are set to laser-level precision. Every single mounting point is aligned before your home arrives. Step 4 is setting the home. Your modular unit is craned or placed directly onto the level brackets, bolted down, and connected to utilities. For a typical modular tiny home, a professional crew completes steps 1 through 3 in 3 to 5 hours. Compare that to a concrete pour that requires site prep, the pour, and then waiting for the concrete to reach adequate strength before you can even think about placing the home. Ground screws put you days ahead of schedule from the very first stage. Ground screws are up to 70% faster to install than concrete. They cost significantly less once you factor in labor and site prep, and with skilled trade labor now eating 50 to 60% of foundation budgets in 2026, that gap is only growing. They handle challenging terrain better than a slab. They leave almost no permanent impact on your land. They meet ISO 1461 galvanization standards for 50+ years of service life. And they can be removed and relocated if you ever want to move your home. Concrete still has its place in rocky ground, extremely soft soil, basement applications, and some conventional financing situations. But for the vast majority of modular tiny home builds in 2026, ground screws, or helical anchors as the industry increasingly calls them, are the smarter foundation choice. The tiny home movement is about building efficiently, living smartly, and not overburdening yourself with unnecessary cost and complexity. Your foundation should reflect those same values. Ground screws do exactly that. If this video helped you think differently about foundations, drop a comment below and let me know what kind of build you are planning. I read every comment. And if you found this useful, share it with someone going modular. It could save them real money. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you in the next one.